Hey everyone, this is Staying Connected. Today I have Carla with me on the line from the UK, and that's right? The UK?
Yeah, that's it.
Not super familiar with that side of the world yet, but Carla was diagnosed with vEDS, and her daughter Effie was also diagnosed with vEDS. So we're going to talk to her about her story. So, hey Carla. It's so good to talk to you. I know we've connected a few times over messages and stuff. It's really good to talk to you over the phone.
It's good to talk to you too. I love your videos.
Thank you. All right, so why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? How old are you?
I'm 24.
24, and you have a daughter?
Yep, she's 2.
So tell me a little bit about when you were diagnosed with vEDS and how that happened.
Um, so my daughter Effie, she had a seizure back in August 2016, and she she became unresponsive, and we wasn't. I mean, we called an ambulance, and before that happened, we'd taken her to A&E about 17 times because she kept vomiting. Um, when we got to the hospital, they did loads of scans and came back to tell us she had a bleed on the brain. And the next thing we knew, the police turned up and they kind of said that the hospital felt this was a non-accidental injury, and Effie went into intensive care and was in foster care afterwards for about 8 months.
So how old was she? This you said this was August of 2016.
Yeah,
So she must have been just born. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
How old was she?
She was 3 months old at the time.
Wow. So they took her from you guys and put her in foster care.
Yeah, yeah.
So how did that feel? What did you do next? Tell me a little bit more about it.
It was absolutely terrifying because we knew that obviously nobody had harmed her. She was a tiny little floppy baby. But they were adamant that that's what it was. So I did some research and what else can cause kind of internal bleeding other than abuse, and all that kept popping up was EDS, and how EDS was always misdiagnosed as child abuse. So I pushed it aside because I thought, well, I'm not sure what EDS is. Um, and then I found a solicitor that specialised in EDS, and she asked me if she could meet us. And when she met us, she took one look at me and a photo of Effie and said, "You look like you have EDS."
So can you explain what a solicitor is for the
Oh,
language differences here in the UK?
sorry, yeah, it's a lawyer.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
it's the same as a lawyer. Okay. So you happened to find a lawyer that was familiar with EDS then.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what happened next?
They wrote to the court and suggested that me and Effie were tested just to rule it out. And at first, the judge was for the testing, but the local authorities didn't want to do the testing. So I had to go private and have a see a rheumatologist, and he said that I've got the signs of EDS, and he asked the court to do bloods, and eventually they agreed and got us both tested.
Okay. How long did that take?
Um, we didn't get tested until about 4 or 5 months into the case, and then we had to wait another 8 weeks for the results.
And this whole time, were you allowed to see Effie?
We saw her twice a week. I think it was twice a week for an hour and a half.
Wow. And is she your only child?
Yeah.
So when that test result came back positive, what did that feel like to you?
I I kind of at my first reaction I cried quite a bit because I thought, wow, she actually has this condition. And another part of me thought, I know it sounds bad, but a part of me felt positive because it gave me and everyone else the answers we kind of were looking for as to what could have caused the bleeding.
No, it's definitely a double-edged sword. You know what causes all these things, but it's not really a great diagnosis.
Yeah, yeah.
So what happened next?
Um, Next we had to go to court for 10 days in a row, and all the experts would come in, all the medical people, and give their opinion on the diagnosis and whether it could cause the internal bleeding. Um, Three of the doctors changed their mind and said, yeah, actually, I think this was medical. And the last doctor still said, no, I don't think EDS could be the cause for this. I think it was abuse. Um, then the judge kind of asked him how many EDS patients he's met, and he couldn't answer. So he kind of got ruled out.
And then you were able to get Effie back?
Yeah, the judge kind of had a little think about it, and she came back and said that she thinks it's medical, and finally we could go and collect Effie.
How did that feel having her back?
Oh, it was amazing. I thought she was going to forget us, but the fact she settled in so quick just felt amazing.
Just right back at home.
Yeah.
That's great. So when you say that, just for clarification, your results, they did say vascular EDS?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know what your mutation is?
Yeah, they said we've got the collagen 3A1, I think it is, but we've deleted exons 36 and 38.
Oh, so I don't
I
really
don't
know
know
what
what
that
that
means.
means.
I'm learning all about it and I find it fascinating, but I'm not. I think that might be like a splicing mutation.
Yeah. Um, One specialist told us that it doesn't make much difference, and a different specialist told us it means that it's slightly milder. So I have no idea. I'm
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, I know that it from what I understand, sometimes the severity can really depend on the kind of mutation.
Yeah,
So if you're, for instance, if you have just, if you have only half of the amount of collagen, but the collagen that is produced is right, basically, that you still have non-faulty collagen to work with.
yeah,
But if you have something where it's splicing or it's substituting out something else when it's building that collagen, then you've got a whole bunch of crappy collagen.
yeah.
And that's not really great. um, that's my basic understanding.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That's the best explanation I've had, I think.
Well, um, okay, so you got Effie back, and how long have you had her back now at home?
Uh, it's just been just over a year now.
So has everything kind of settled down?
Oh yeah, definitely. It just sometimes we just forget it's even happened. Some days it's just lovely having her back.
So what do you guys do together?
We like going to the parks and feeding the ducks.
And is there anything that you have to do differently with her now that you know about the
Um,
bad diagnosis?
yeah, we kind of monitor her a lot more. And the other thing actually, we have to watch her diet because she's always constipated, and we have to kind of give her a lot of blueberries and things to kind of settle her belly down.
Yeah, because that constipation can lead to a bowel rupture.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you monitor her diet to make sure that she's not constipated.
yeah, definitely.
And, this is in the future, but is there anything, like as a parent, knowing that your kid has this, are there things in the future that you can kind of foresee that know that you're going to make, like, change, or do you just focus on quality of life, or what do you do as a parent?
I do think a lot about her growing up, and I'm terrified about when she starts school and running around in the playground. I think I want to wrap her up in cotton wool, but I don't want to be too strict. But I think if I can kind of explain it to her at some stage, she'll understand that she's just got to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that's a huge struggle. I've heard a lot from the community about how much, like, how difficult that is it's got to be
Yeah,
so difficult. Because
yeah,
kids, they like to run around and play and roughhouse.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And she's only 2 now, but you can see that's probably coming in the future.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So, how did you feel yourself getting diagnosed?
I think the day that they called me, I, well, actually, the funny thing is my first sample came back negative.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and my specialist said, hang on a minute, I don't think this is right. And she sent it to the Netherlands. Um, and she said that they would, because I think they did a skin something or other.
Okay. Like a biopsy?
Yeah, that's it. And because it came back negative, they sent off a full blood count instead, and then that's when it came back saying I had it. And although I kind of knew from the start when I read all the signs and symptoms, I knew straight away it's too much coincidence for me to not have it. But when I got the call, I felt as if I'd only just found out who I was all this time.
So, what kind of things did you see in yourself that made you think that you had it once you knew what it was?
I, the first one of the first things I read was the faces,
Mm-hmm.
and I read about the thin translucent skin and the lobeless ears and the little nose and the big eyes, and straight away I was like, I've got all of those. And it kind of answered why I used to ask my mum, why do I look different to other people? I think it just answered that question a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have very, like, significant, memorable facial features. I think you're beautiful.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome. But you do. You have, I remember reading the same thing about myself, the big eyes and the little
yeah,
nose was something that for me growing up, I don't know how many times I heard from my mom, I just love your little nose. And I'd be like, ugh,
I know.
stop.
Your nose is so cute.
Well, thank you. But I remember reading that and being like, wow, my nose is in here. It's eye-opening.
It is. It really is.
And you had some other things too, right? Like, you mentioned a thin, translucent skin, bruising.
Yeah. Yeah. I bruise from nowhere, and yeah, I don't know. People ask me where did you get that bruise from, and I don't know where it came from. I just woke up and it was there.
Yeah, I always thought like I mean, I do bump into things a lot anyway, it seems
Can I
like.
ask you a question?
Sure.
Sorry. Do you notice you bump your elbows in particular, or
I usually bump my hips.
Oh,
Like
ow.
for some reason when I go through a door, like I'm very tiny. I'm a tiny person. I'm like 5 feet tall. And
Oh,
I when I go through a door, you would think I have plenty of clearance to
yeah.
get through the door. There's no reason why I can't get through the door and not bump on the edge.
Oh,
But for some
ow.
reason I do.
That is a painful place to.
Yeah. Yeah, when I worked at I used to work at like a 7-Eleven, and we had this little counter like when you were exiting the cashier area, and I would
Yeah.
always clip that corner.
Oh,
So the entire time I worked there, I think I always had big bruises on my hips on either side because I would just bump and go, bump and go. And it wouldn't really phase me because I'm just like, well, this happens all the time. No big
ouch.
deal. But now I'm like, okay, that I get it.
Oh gosh, that's terrible.
The things that we put our body through though, and we didn't know.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you play sports or anything like that when you were a kid?
Shame. No, that's the weird thing. I seemed to avoid PE at school. When I used to run, my for some reason the bottom of my leg used to go hard and it really hurt. So I just didn't bother. And I didn't kind of go to any fairground rides or anything like that.
Wow.
I'm glad now.
I used to love roller coasters, but now I'm afraid of them. Yeah, I didn't play sports either. I think part of that though, I mean, because you're tiny too, right?
Yeah, I'm 4'10".
Wow. Yeah, well, I've only got like a couple inches on you.
We're dwarfs.
Almost. Not quite for me. I'm not sure what the legal, definition is for that, but we're tiny. I like to call myself a halfling.
That's quite cute.
Thank you. So we're halflings.
Yeah, I'm going to use that one now.
Okay. Go for it. We could be halflings together. So does anybody else in your family have this? I mean, you got diagnosed once Effie was.
Yeah, we're just waiting now. They're quite sure that my mum and brother have it. Um, just got to wait for the results to come through.
And do they have any complications or signs of it?
My brother's been quite healthy. I mean, he's got prominent eyes and he's got the dent in the chest. My mum's got a blood clot or an aneurysm in her spleen,
Ooh.
but mm, yeah.
Wow. And as far as so if Effie's having like constipation issues, does anybody else have any bowel complications?
Yeah, my mum had she had three bowel hemorrhages
Mm-hmm.
back in 2015, and when they did her colonoscopy, it seemed to make her bleed more. So, but they couldn't find a cause to the bleeding in the end. So I'm not. I think it might be related, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think that colonoscopies, I think, are something that we're kind of supposed to avoid.
mm,
Anything that, from my understanding, like angiograms or endoscopies, or where they have to be extra careful because those walls of those organs and arteries are so thin or fragile. Putting stuff through it can be not a great thing.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So they're waiting on their results now.
Yeah, yeah,
So this really could provide some answers for a lot of people in your family.
yeah, definitely. I hope so.
That's great. So is there anything else that you want to share with everybody? Anything else you've been through that has just been eye-opening or a struggle?
I think the whole diagnosis is. I've always suffered with anxiety anyway, because a lot of people have kind of asked me why I look the way I do, why my eyes are so big. But I think now I've got the diagnosis, my anxiety's grown a lot because now I kind of assume everybody's glaring at me and I look different, and I keep thinking I'm going to die every time I get a pain. So I think it's made me try and appreciate every day a little bit more than I used to.
Mm-hmm. How do you deal with that anxiety?
Um, it's really difficult. I don't really know how I manage it, but when it kicks in, sometimes I'll have a nap, or I'll try and play with Effie to concentrate on something different, and sometimes it works. Sometimes it stays for a little while.
Mm-hmm. What kind of pain do you get?
I suffer with constipation quite bad, and um, I have a lot of sort of headaches and chest pains, but they come and go.
Mm-hmm. Do you have doctors that are helping you out with this? Did you find somebody good?
Yeah, because my GP wasn't my own doctor wasn't sending me for any specialists, so my specialist sent me to a few other specialists. And
So, what kind of doctors do you have?
I have a cardiologist, a gynecologist, and a gastrologist.
Do you have anybody set up for emergencies in case you have an emergency?
Um, I've been told if I have an emergency, I should um, go to Oxford Hospital instead of my local one, which is about half an hour away, because they've got a genetic team in there that deal with vascular conditions.
Oh, that's
But
good.
yeah, that is good.
And that's only an extra half hour.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how it's set up in the UK versus the US, but the emergency responders, do they know to take you there instead, or can they do that, or is that something that if you have an emergency, you have to take yourself?
They can take me there, but I have to I have a letter from my specialist that I have to give to them to kind of show them why I've got to go to this certain hospital. Otherwise, I'll just go myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good they gave you a letter.
Yeah, definitely. They're really good.
All right, is there anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
um, I think really it's just, I think, sorry.
It's okay.
The only thing I think I would kind of say is, if you do have a condition that stops you from doing things, just find something that you can enjoy that won't push your body, even if it's something that's small, like drawing or writing or something little.
Mm-hmm.
Just you can enjoy things without putting strain on your body, even if it's nothing that's big. It can still be big and enjoyable.
What do you do? Like, what do you like to do?
Um, I like writing, and I don't mind a little bit of drawing until my hand aches.
What do you write?
I'm trying to write a novel at the moment.
Oh, that's so cool.
I don't know if it's going to be very good.
Do you want to say anything about that?
um, I've kind of I won't give the storyline away yet, but
Okay.
I just because don't want to. I want it to be a surprise. But I have put a little bit about vEDS in the story to
Oh,
try
very
and
cool.
yeah,
So try to raise awareness.
yeah, definitely.
That's so cool. Well, I'm going to be on the lookout for that because I want to read it.
I'll send you a copy.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, it's been great talking to you.
Yeah, it's something that I've found when I talk to other people with this. It's so connecting, you know?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, we have to try harder to meet people with this, and somebody with a more common condition.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I feel like it's always really special when we do get to connect with each other.
It does. It makes you feel kind of equal.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So I have your information and we'll be in touch for sure.
Definitely. It's been lovely talking to you.
Thanks, Carla. And thank you, everybody, for listening. This was Staying Connected, and this was Carla's story. We have episodes coming out on the last Sunday of every month, so continue to look out for those. Go ahead and subscribe and through your podcast player, and we'll talk to you soon.